Of all the piazzas in Rome, Piazza Navona is arguably the most famous. It takes its name and its unique shape from the fact that it was once an ancient Roman stadium. And a stadium was a place where the Romans would come to enjoy Agones, or athletic competitions. In fact, when you walk into the Piazza Navona, you'll notice that it looks a bit like a field and track. The piazza was essentially lost with the fall of the Roman Empire, but then in the 17th century came back to life with the election of Cardinal Giovan Battista Pamphili to Pope, and he took the name Innocent X. And Innocent decided to transform this area of Rome into his own personal enclave, essentially hiring Rome's most celebrated artists to come in and bring this piazza back to life. Names like Gian Lorenzo Bernini, like Francesco Borromini, who in fact were the two major protagonists of Baroque Rome, who transformed this into an urban theater, a place where architecture and sculpture and painting all come together to create this extraordinary identity that is the city of Rome. The crown sculptural jewel of the piazza is the Four Rivers Fountain that was created by Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the 1650s. Now consider that Gian Lorenzo was persona non grata over at the Vatican because of an architectural disaster that had caused the collapse of a bell tower on the facade of St. Peter's. And in fact, in order to win this commission, he had to secretly submit his design for the fountain. A design that was ultimately chosen by Pope Innocent X, and that celebrates essentially the four largest known rivers in the 17th century. The Nile, with its head covered, because of course the source was still unknown, the Ganges River, the Danube, and in fact there is one figure there reaching up, holding up the coat of arms of the Pamphili family, and that figure represents the figure that is the Danube River, essentially the river closest to the reign of the Pope himself. But it's that fourth river, the Riva della Plata, because remember, we are New World at this point, that in fact attracts most attention, because with that raised right hand, almost as if he was shielding his face, one of the greatest legends of Rome was in fact born, and that is that the Riva della Plata figure is hiding its face from the ugliness of the church that stands just across the way, called St. Agnes in Agone, because that church was in fact designed by Francesco Borromini, who is the legendary rival of the sculptor Bernini. In reality, the Church of Sant'Agnese is nothing more than the family chapel of the enormous Palazzo Pamphili, which occupies more than a half of the entire Piazza Navona. It was designed by the great Francesco Borromini, the father of Baroque architecture. And he here shows us how these convex and concave forms come together to form these moving, these dynamic facades with those two framing towers that you see as well. And one of the greatest legends of Baroque Rome is the fact that the Fountain of the Four Rivers and the Church of Sant'Agnese are competing with each other, because that figure of the Riva della Plata in Bernini's fountain, raising that left hand almost in disgust in relation to the church that's just across the way. But Borromini would have his revenge with the statue of St. Agnes up there, who doesn't even look down at Bernini's fountain. And the idea that these two artistic rivals were in fact showing that rivalry through their great masterpieces here in the Piazza Navona. Now, unfortunately, everyone, that legend is not true, because the fountain was here long before the palace ever was, and there's no way that Bernini could have known that Borromini was going to build here. So in this case, that legend, unfortunately, is not true.